It's a pleasure to welcome you in this meeting. This is the 8th webinar of the cycle of webinars that PLATFORMA is holding since spring this year on EU development cooperation and how local and regional governments contribute to the policy. Today's webinar is focusing on development, education, and awareness raising, and it is organized as part of the European Days for Local Solidarity, which is a program that PLATFORMA launched a few years ago, and we are very happy to see that more and more cities are engaging into the European Days for Local Development Solidarity. PLATFORMA's campaign calls cities and regions to raise citizens' awareness about the role of local and regional governments in global sustainable development. And this is the 5th edition of the EDLS, which started already on November 29 until November 29 this year. We are happy that we can continue raising awareness about global challenges in the context that we are now experiencing, and happy that it never stops. Thank you to the speakers for taking the time from a very busy e-agendas to join us, and thank you also for the participants who are joining us today from all across Europe. As you know, PLATFORMA is a coalition of local and regional governments and their national, European, global associations active in development cooperation. The lead partner is the Council of European Municipalities and Regions, and we have signed a framework partnership agreement in 2015 with the European Commission that we expect to renew in 2021. It's under preparation. With this webinar, PLATFORMA aims to explore and share with you the benefits of development, education, and awareness raising projects and initiatives carried out by local and regional governments and their associations active in decentralized cooperation. Let me recall maybe the rules of the game for this meeting. First of all, I will ask you to mute yourself when you're not speaking to avoid background noises. Click on the button, raise my hand on the bottom of your screen when you want to speak. It's in the participants list, I believe. You can ask questions also via the chat or make comments or share information. Colleagues of the PLATFORMA Secretariat will take note of these comments and questions. Also, have in mind that you will have 15 minutes at the end of the webinar to ask questions to who you want. The interpretation is available in French, Spanish, and English. So you can just select in the interpretation button your favorite language. And when you speak, you need to take off the interpretation because otherwise it can make interferences. Saying that, I'm happy to hand the floor to my colleague Marlène Siméon, who is Director of PLATFORMA, to chair the meeting. Thank you very much and have a great meeting.
Thank you very much, Frédéric, and thank you to Lour, actually. She will be the one chairing the meeting after me. So very good. I'm really happy to meet you all today and to introduce this important session actually on development, education, and awareness raising. It's a topic which is often broadened actually by using other expressions such as global education, education for sustainability, global citizenship education, and many more expressions. We will not enter into this conceptualization of GEAR today, But I just would like to mention that in particular, UNESCO defines global citizenship education as a sense of belonging to a broader community and common humanity. For the EU, it's about giving explicit attention to European public's awareness raising and development of understanding and skills for an active engagement with global development issues and processes. And we are convinced that it can mostly happen locally with different stakeholders involved and with the political leadership of local and regional governments. DEAR aims at understanding global interdependencies, at engaging people and making them active, including in their municipalities or region, at transforming communities' attitudes and behaviors toward global sustainability, solidarity, equality, and democracy. And we can use different array of activities, no? Training, development courses, public meetings, discussion fora, exhibitions, lobbying action, social media, and activities, many activities also with schools or civil society organizations. Global citizenship is also a specific target of the 2030 agenda. It's the target 4.7. And it says that by 2030, we need to ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. So coming back to 2020 and the COVID-19 crisis and the reality we are now going through, many have realized actually something that we may already know, but which is worth mentioning, that local and regional governments are at the forefront for communicating to people, to educate them about global interdependencies, about the need to understand the common challenges and the need to cooperate. And those are crucial elements for a society to be more resilient and sustainable nowadays. DEAR addresses a great variety of global challenges that are all part of the competencies entrusted to local and regional governments as policymakers accountable to their citizens. And these topics can be like water scarcity, circular economy, production and value chain, including through public procurement, for instance, local democracy, minority representation and institutional racism, gender equality, and many more. What we know is that at EU level, there was the last Commission staff working document, and I would not enter into the details because Agatha is here also today with us, but it was published back in 2012, so it means a long time ago actually, but it stated at that time that a strong and informed engagement of EU citizens in development issues is considered essential for an ambitious EU development policy. For the next programming period, we also know that the EU will invest in DEAR actions and will support local and regional governments in their activities for increasing interactions with European citizens on development issues, and notably in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals. So we know that DEAR is an essential component of decentralized development cooperation. It is an opportunity to bring the benefits directly on our territories, to raise awareness on sustainable development by making the link between the local and the global and our reality in Europe and beyond. And the partnerships between cities or regions make it possible to connect with and learn about other communities in the world. The link between peer cities or regions that cooperate is a unique political, cultural, and societal bond that stand as an example of solidarity and respect. And every cooperation between municipalities of the world is also a great opportunity for local elected representatives to engage their own people. We also believe that national associations have a key role to play too, offering a joint narrative for local and regional governments, being the interface between territories and global agendas, facilitating the exchange of experiences, and dialoguing with national governments too. So you would have understood that PLATFORMA and its partners are very active in DEAR projects at the local, regional, national, European and international levels through decentralized cooperation. And today you will hear very concrete examples in the inspirational part. And you are also invited to stay tuned during the European Days of Local Solidarity. But also we have a publication coming on with best practices of local and regional governments and their association active in DEAR and decentralized cooperation. So I'm now stopping here. Happy to follow the session and contribute to it. And I give the floor to my, my expert, the expert of PLATFORMA on this, Lur, my colleague who will moderate the debate. So I wish you all a great learning discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marlene and Frederic, for your introductive words, for your very interesting words, and welcome to all the participants. Without more delay, we'll welcome our first speaker, Agata Soviet. Welcome. She is head of sector DEAR and youth at DG DEFCO Unit B1. And good morning, Agata. We are very happy to have it here with us today. We will be happy to know more about the objectives, results, and main challenges identified by your team in regards to DEAR. Agata, the floor is yours, and you have around 10 minutes. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, and thanks a lot for the invitation and for organizing this webinar, which I think is very timely and important to have. So yes, I'll just tell you briefly about the EU DEAR program and what it is, and a bit of the results, also a little bit on the future, and also maybe a few words also on particular role of the local and regional governments in implementing the program. What I think is important to note as the first thing is that, well, DEFCO has been implementing the development, education and awareness, so the DEAR program successfully since many years. It had different names before, it has changed over the last years, but what it does remain, the objectives remain quite constant, I would say. DEAR is quite a unique animal for us at DEFCO, contrary to most of the programs that we implement. It targets European citizens and in particular youth. It aims to increase the awareness and understanding of sustainable development, to support citizens' active engagement, to respond to global challenges at local and global levels. It's also an important vehicle to promote European values such as equality and solidarity. Of course, when you look at what we do in the EU more widely and in the Commission, for instance, DEAR is not a unique in that sense, because you have many different programs that have sometimes similar objectives. You can think about certain funds in DG Justice. You can talk about Erasmus. So all of those have, contribute all together to the global education objectives, and for instance, the SDG 4.7. But I think the only one that really does it so explicitly is actually the DEFCO DEAR program. So the program works through development education, as Marlene mentioned, also called global education, and also the more campaigning, awareness raising and advocacy activities. It also aims at supporting the engagement, the active engagement of EU citizens, but it also supports policy change at different levels. We also have, for instance, program facilitating exchange and mutual learning between the relevant ministries and agencies of EU member states. So bringing together the education and development people from the relevant ministries. So we sort of, you have a link policy support with direct support to civil society organizations and local and regional governments, and sort of trying to put it all together in a coherent format. So far, we have worked mainly through calls for proposals, in which grant contracts were concluded with civil society organizations on the one hand, and the local and regional governments on the other hand. And today we have around 40 projects ongoing, 9 of which are actually with local authorities. And the last call for proposals dates from 2018. Now, when there will be a next one, I'm sure some of you might want to ask. Well, the answer is I don't know. It really depends for the moment on when the new MFF is going to be adopted, and then how programming will go. As you might have seen, there are some issues with the new MFF, and there might be some delay, we're hoping that our leaders will still find a way to get an agreement soon. But I guess it will not happen in any case before 2022, which gives us quite some time also to rethink a little bit the DEAR program. And sort of try to see how it can better fit into the current challenges, which might be a bit different than they were 7 years ago. So this is a reflection that is ongoing currently in the Commission. This is also a reflection that we will involve the stakeholders on, because we want to be inclusive on that as much as possible. There are several, let's say, points that we really have to think about, is the objectives, but also how to make the program really more coherent and being able to show better results, or to show in a more clearer way what are actually the results of the program as a whole. This is something that I think has been quite a challenging thing, given that we really work mainly through calls for proposals. So this is one of the elements that we really have to work on, and that's the tasks for the near future for us. Maybe just to give you a quick overview of the results, because even if we still have to work on showing and sort of demonstrating results better, we still have some already and we can demonstrate them. So what we can already say that's a review that was done in 2018 of the DEAR project, supported projects, showed that approximately 14.6 million Europeans had been actively engaged and supported the issues highlighted by the projects we funded. And that the DEAR projects led to changes in business and consumer behavior, also changes in policies at different levels, local, national, but also international. And also when it comes to formal and non-formal education, so education curricula, teaching and learning. We have, I think, quite some impact also when it comes to consumers that have shifted towards more ethical and sustainable consumption, and have actually put pressure on private sector thanks to the projects funded by the DEAR program. We can sort of indicate that for instance, there were around 25,000 teachers and representatives of the civil society in particular that have increased their competences in the area of global education. There have been also over 240 local and regional governments in several member states that have included Agenda 2030 in their action plans, at least partly as a result of the projects. And there were hundreds of schools that have included learning units on SDGs into their educational plans and teaching. So those are quite substantial results, and I hope that we will be able in the next 7 years to achieve even more. Now, let me just quickly pass to the role of the local and regional governments. We see them as a very important partner in the implementation of the DEAR activities, because together with civil society organizations, they often enjoy greater trust of citizens than other players. And for us, this closeness, proximity to their citizens, and also the impact that we have seen of the projects that were led by the local and regional governments, made them really very relevant implementing partner for us. In many EU member states, actually local and regional governments are those that are responsible at least partly for the school and non-formal education curricula. And they might have also impact or influence on the practical organization of schools, youth clubs, community centers, and so on. And they are also, therefore, in our view, very well placed to develop and promote good practices in curricula that actually include development or global education. On another level, I mean, in many EU member states, those are, of course, also the local authorities and also civil society organizations that respond to migration in the first line, providing accommodation, education, healthcare. And it is also at that local level that often the anti-migrant issues can flare up. And we also feel that it's very important to give the support to the local authorities to address those issues, and we have done it through some of our projects. So that's very briefly. I'm sure the role, and we'll still hear more about it. But I just would like to thank you again for organizing this seminar, and I wish us all good and enriching discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agatha, for your intervention. We take very good note of what you say. As you say, it's a very busy time also for the DEAR team, with the MFF negotiations going on. For the one who are joining us for the first time, the MFF is the Multi-Annual Financial Framework for 2021-2027, and it's under negotiation, just as the next Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. We hope that the future DEAR program will embrace local and regional governments' specific added value on contributing to fostering EU citizens support and engagement on global challenges, global sustainable development challenges. And PLATFORMA and our partners, we will be there available to help you on that. So now that we have the context in mind, after the presentation of Agata, we are going to move on the panel debate, composed by 3 speakers who are based in Italy, France, and Portugal, if I'm not wrong, and who are united not only by the European Union, but also by the work they are doing on DEAR. We will proceed in the following way. First, I'm going to ask each of you a concrete question linked to your work on DEAR, and then I will ask you to reply to the panel debate question in no more than 5 minutes. So let's start with our first speaker in the panel debate. Welcome, Miguel Silva, the first European-wide Global Education Congress organized by the North-South Center of the Council of Europe in Maastricht in the Netherlands took place between the 15th and 17th November 2002, so just 18 years ago now, and it resulted in one of the definitions of global education most widely used that Marlene has also introduced. Is it in that context that I would like to welcome then Miguel, Global Education Program Manager at the North-South Center of the Council of Europe. And my question to you is, having in mind the ongoing North-South Center activities, the Global Education Week, which is taking place this week until the 20th of November, and the work that you are developing in the field of global education advocacy, could you please explain to what extent the multi-stakeholder work on DEAR is crucial and embodied in your activities? And you have around 5 minutes. Many thanks, Miguel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lur, and good morning to everyone who is participating. Thank you, Lur, for making this reference to the Maastricht Declaration. I think it's an excellent example on the multi-stakeholder approach that we have been using in our advocacy work. You know, bringing together institutional representatives, educators, civil society representatives, parliamentarians, and also local authorities in defining, you know, policy strategies. And Maastricht was the first one, but after we had different congresses, and all our work since Maastricht has been monitoring these recommendations, these policy papers, and beyond the regular pan-European congresses that we organize involving these multi-stakeholders. We organize also some regional seminars in the Baltic, Balkans, Southeast Europe, and Mediterranean countries, as well as Visegrad countries, for the monitoring of these policy papers, which usually deals with policy development, professional development of educators and polity, and also awareness-raising actions. So this is one of the dimensions. You mentioned also the Global Education Week, and I think this is the other pillar that which is awareness raising that we have been developing, but which for us is also fundamental, because when you want to share, you know, innovative pedagogical approaches, the best way is to involve, you know, all level of actors, you know, from formal and non-formal educators, but also through a campaign. I think that the added value of a campaign is this all community approach and all school approach, and it allows, you know, formal educators to work with non-formal educators, you know, committees at large involving parents, local authorities, and again, I think this communication channel and this working channel is really an added value for the confidence building between different stakeholders. And for me, this is the added value. And last, in our pedagogical approach and in the creation of resources, we have also this multi-actor approach where we involve, you know, formal and non-formal educators in the making of our resources. So not only formal and non-formal educators, but also educators coming from the Council of Europe member states and beyond the Council of Europe member states. For us, because we speak about global education and we promote global education and we support pedagogical support for educators, we have to include also non-European stakeholders in the definition and the making of these resources. So this is the last I mentioned, you know, this peer sharing, intercultural learning process, and which are fundamental to consolidate, you know, the work that we do. And one last point also, because of our nature and being an intergovernmental structure, in 2011 we have prepared a legal framework, a political recommendation for global education, which has been approved by the Council of Europe Committee of Ministers back in 2011, and which gives this sort of legal background for the promotion of global education. So indeed, this multi-stakeholder nature of our work is fundamental. First, you know, I'd say because it creates a regular, you know, working and communication channel between different stakeholders, and it contributes also to this confidence building and understanding of the each level of work from different stakeholders. Thank you.
Thanks, Miguel, for your intervention. I invite everyone to take a look at the Global Education Week. My colleagues have sent the links in the chat. You say that campaigns are very important to foster global education and that diverse narratives and voices are needed to have an efficient debate on DEAR. So now it's the turn to welcome Professor Massimiliano Tarossi, who is chair at the International Research Center on Global Citizenship at the University of Bologna and coordinator of the Angel Network. Professor, welcome. Last Monday, you launched the 2020 edition of the Global Education Digest, which is edited by Angel, the Academic Network on Global Education and Learning. And it's a partnership project of the Development Education Research Center at the Institute of Education, University College London, and the Global Education Network Europe, GINI. So my question to you is, while we celebrate the diversity of concepts using DEAR, could you please present to us the main findings and takeaways from the 2020 Global Education Digest in relation to DEAR? Welcome, and the floor is yours. You have around 5 minutes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thank you very much to PLATFORMA for organizing this event, which provides a very exciting opportunity for networking with relevant actors across Europe in global education and development education awareness raising, but it also is a great opportunity to meet again old friends and colleagues across Europe. So, Lur, thanks for your question, which provide me the opportunity for, well, first of all, to introduce what Angel is. Just very briefly, Angel is the academic network of global education and learning. Is a network of researchers created, well, 2.5 years ago, 2017, in cooperation with the Global Education Network of Europe and the research center on the Development Education Research Center at the Institute of Education in London. In the last 2.5 years, this network, which originally was mostly a European network, has incredibly expanded, and now we have more than 550 members from more than 60 countries all over the world. It's a network of researchers, but not necessarily academics. It tried to include all those actors who are involved somehow in producing or in reading and using research in their own action. And one of the goals, especially we have in creating this network, is not only to forge a community of researchers, which was largely lacking in Europe, but also to try to bridge the gap between researchers and policymakers, the mutual gap between researchers and policymakers. So this is one of the main goals of this network, not only to create this network among researchers, but also to fill the gap between actors that usually tend not to cooperate too much in a mutual sense. Among the activities that the Angel is carried out, especially in these 5 years, we have a special focus on early career researchers. We organize international conference every other year, but we provide policy briefings for policymakers on specific issues. And in particular, what you mentioned, Lur, is the digest. The digest is a systematic collection of the publications on global education, learning, and related issue, which we systematically organized in the last 3 years from the very beginning, because we realized that the number of academic publications in the last 10 years related to global education and related issues has grown tremendously. If you in the last digest, in the one you see here in this slide, we noticed that more than 300 books monography has been published in the last 3 years in 5 languages. So it's an enormous number of publications, just to limit on the books on monography. So the peculiarity of this very last issue of the digest is that unlike the previous one, which only collected English publication in English, this one is more ambitious because it collect this 2020 edition collect material published in 5 European languages. Unfortunately, only European languages at the moment. So English, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. So it has been a very important and collective behavior. You asked me for some of the results. So let me just point out just one thing in looking at the multilingual digest. We realized that the number of publications in different languages has been expanded enormously, and this graphic show that there are different development for 3 different terms: global education, global citizenship, and development education. And this is another issue, how to define the topic of what we call under the umbrella development education awareness raising. But if you go to the next slide, please, we realize that the large majority of publications has been published in English, which is normal because English has become the lingua franca of the academic community, and also the non-English native speakers tend or are forced to publish in English. So not surprisingly, the English is the large majority of publications have been published in English. However, if you go to the next one, the next slide, thank you, we realize that the large majority of this publication are issued in English-speaking country, not only in English, but in English-speaking country, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada. So the large majority has been published in English-speaking country, not only in English language. So this means that there is an unbalanced distribution of publication, and the English-speaking country tend to play a dominant or hegemonic role within the academic community. And this is something that is interesting, emerging from this digest. It's something that should be, I think that should be addressed in order to contrast those asymmetries and this linguistic barrier in a multilingual context as the Europe is. I will stop here, and I'm happy to answer some of the questions later in the discussion.
Many thanks, Professor Massimiliano Darossi, for your intervention and for showing us the results of the Global Education Digest 2020. The unbalanced distribution of publications in languages may be an indication that is also needed to work on a stakeholder approach in relation to DEAR, to involve different voices so that we can have updated projects on DEAR. Now I'm welcoming the next panel debate speaker, who is going to be Jean-Marc Delaunay, coordinator of the Festival de Solidarité. Bonjour, Jean-Marc, with whom PLATFORMA signed a memorandum of understanding last year. The Festival de Solidarité started last Friday, 13, and will be end at the same time than the European Days of Local Solidarity on 29th of November. It's worth to note that Festisol, so Festival de Solidarité, is also the French representative of the Global Education Week that Miguel has introduced before. Welcome, Jean-Marc. Could you present us the Festival de Solidarité, including to what extent local and regional governments are involved, and what are the other stakeholders included in the campaign, and how do you work with them? Many thanks. You have around 5 minutes. Merci.
Alors, bonjour, vous m'entendez? Oui. Alors, je vais vous partager une présentation. Alors. Bon, ça ne fonctionne pas, c'est pas grave. Je vous ai mis la présentation en lien dans le chat. Donc, vous pouvez la suivre pour avoir un support visuel pour ma présentation. Donc, le Festival des Solidarités, c'est un événement qui existe depuis 23 ans maintenant, donc qui se déroule effectivement en ce moment et qui est, on va dire, la déclinaison française de la Global Education Week, de la semaine pour l'éducation et la citoyenneté mondiale. Donc, chaque année, en temps normal, quand il n'y a pas une pandémie, donc c'est plus de 4400 animations qui ont lieu donc, pendant la deuxième quinzaine de novembre et qui sont portées par plus de 2600 structures locales, donc principalement des associations, des organisations de la société civile, mais aussi des collectivités territoriales, des établissements scolaires. Et voilà, le principe est vraiment que les organisateurs locaux se rassemblent en collectifs locaux pour organiser ensemble leurs événements. Donc, vous pouvez passer à la projection. Voilà. Donc, le but est de sensibiliser aux enjeux mondiaux, mais aussi à ce que l'on peut faire en tant que citoyenne et citoyen pour voilà, transformer le monde pour qu'il soit plus solidaire et plus durable. Vous pouvez passer la slide. Voilà, donc c'est vraiment une grande diversité d'événements, une grande diversité de formats. Donc, il y a des actions en milieu scolaire, mais aussi des actions de rue, des animations, des projections, des spectacles, de danse, de théâtre. Il y a vraiment voilà, toutes les diversités qui sont abordées en temps normal. Donc là, cette année, évidemment, la plupart des animations n'ont pas pu avoir lieu, mais il y a quand même près de 200 événements en ligne, des webinaires, des émissions de radio qui sont organisées. Donc, je vous invite à aller les découvrir sur le site du Festival des Solidarités si vous le souhaitez. Donc une diversité de publics touchés, hein. Vraiment, le but, c'est à la fois de sensibiliser le grand public aux grands enjeux mondiaux et à ce que l'on peut faire en tant que citoyenne et citoyen, mais aussi de structurer le réseau des acteurs et de renforcer leur capacité à agir tout au long de l'année parce qu'ils auront pu se rassembler en collectifs locaux sur chaque territoire. Et donc, avec le soutien assez souvent des autorités locales et des gouvernements locaux, et ça leur donne une force d'action tout au long de l'année pour mettre en place des actions de sensibilisation, d'interpellation, ou mettre en place des actions de solidarité directe, d'accueil de personnes migrantes, par exemple. Donc, c'est vraiment un double programme qui a pour but à la fois de sensibiliser et de renforcer le tissu des acteurs locaux. Donc, on s'inscrit dans une démarche pédagogique donc, qui se reconnaît de l'éducation à la citoyenneté mondiale et du développement durable. Voilà, donc une diversité de parties prenantes qui sont impliquées. Donc, comme je le disais tout à l'heure, hein, plus de 2700 organisations. Donc, en France, il y a de très nombreuses petites associations de solidarité internationale, mais aussi des associations culturelles ou d'éducation. Donc, ils sont rassemblés en plus de 200 collectifs locaux et donc ça touche chaque année, en temps normal, plus de 320 000 personnes. Évidemment, cette année, ça va être très différent puisque les événements vont être principalement à distance. Donc, nous avons aussi depuis l'an dernier un réseau international puisque le Festival des Solidarités, qui existe depuis plus de 20 ans en France, a lieu maintenant dans 6 pays d'Afrique francophone. Donc, nous avons constitué un comité international avec les coordinateurs dans chaque pays, mais également plusieurs réseaux internationaux, dont PLATFORMA ou FORUS, le réseau mondial des plateformes nationales d'ONG. Voilà, donc au niveau français, il y a un comité de pilotage qui rassemble une trentaine de structures, donc à la fois des organisations de la société civile, donc comme par exemple Amnesty International, Aide et Action, Oxfam, donc des réseaux qui sont également des réseaux internationaux, mais aussi des réseaux régionaux, puisque nous avons dans notre comité de pilotage des structures qui rassemblent donc en France à la fois des organisations de la société civile et des collectivités territoriales. Donc on les appelle les réseaux régionaux multi-acteurs. Ils jouent un rôle vraiment central puisqu'ils sont chargés à la fois de l'accompagnement des acteurs locaux, des organisateurs d'événements au niveau local, et ils sont impliqués dans le pilotage du projet au niveau global. Et ces réseaux-là sont vraiment fondamentaux pour permettre de créer des espaces de dialogue facilités entre les gouvernements locaux et les organisations de la société civile, puisqu'il y a très souvent des cultures de travail très diverses et une difficulté à se comprendre, mais ces réseaux donnent un cadre permanent pour le dialogue et la conduite d'actions communes. Donc, on s'appuie beaucoup sur ces réseaux régionaux et même, j'ai envie de dire que notre événement, donc, depuis 20 ans, a permis aussi à ces réseaux de se renforcer, de se structurer, parce l'événement commun est un moyen pour construire ces collectifs et pour les soutenir. Donc, nous avons également un certain nombre de partenaires de la société civile, également des partenaires institutionnels, donc, que vous pouvez voir sur les slides suivantes. Donc, un partenariat avec des événements, notamment European Days of Local Solidarity, porté par PLATFORMA, ou Global Education Week. Voilà, donc, et en termes financiers, donc, on est soutenu principalement par l'Agence française de développement, en partenariat avec les ministères français de l'Éducation nationale et de la transition écologique, avec le soutien de collectivités. Donc, en termes d'impact, notre festival donc, touche, comme je le disais, en temps normal, plus de 320 000 personnes, dont une grande partie de jeunes. Et l'enquête que nous faisons chaque année nous permet de voir que beaucoup de participants rencontrent de nouvelles personnes, développent leur compréhension des enjeux mondiaux et surtout, pour 96% d'entre eux, ça renforce leur envie de s'engager. Donc, on est vraiment un déclencheur du passage à l'action. Mais bien sûr, ce qui est essentiel, c'est après la sensibilisation, après avoir provoqué de l'envie d'agir, c'est d'arriver à accompagner ce passage à l'action et à rester en lien avec les publics pour les inviter à changer leur comportement, mais aussi s'engager dans, par exemple, dans des associations ou dans des conseils municipaux. Donc voilà, j'insiste vraiment sur ce double objectif, à la fois de sensibilisation et de structuration du milieu associatif de la transformation pour le développement durable, qui est de notre point de vue tout à fait fondamental, à la fois pour sensibiliser les citoyens, mais aussi pour mener des actions de plaidoyer, de lobbying, comme ça a été évoqué précédemment. Voilà, et donc vous pourrez trouver plus d'informations sur le Festival des Solidarités sur notre site, mais voilà, notre festival est en train de se développer donc plutôt aujourd'hui en Afrique, mais on est convaincu que ce que l'on propose, le cadre multi-acteurs que l'on propose, a une grande capacité à toucher les citoyens et à les engager pour la transformation durable.
Ok, d'accord. Merci beaucoup, Jean-Marc. Thank you very much for having presented. So I just have to change my interpretation. Thank you very much for having presented the Festival de Solidarité and the important role played by les réseaux régionaux multi-acteurs that help to coordinate the objectives and the goals that we can have to work on DEAR. You say that we have an important role to play as facilitators of DEAR, which is something that should be highlighted. As we are running a bit behind the schedule, I will propose you to continue with 5 minutes to the second question of the debate for you, as you already mentioned some of the points to reply, like the role played by les réseaux régionaux multi-acteurs. So Miguel, Professor Massimiliano, and Jean-Marc, through the initiatives and campaigns cited before, could you very, very briefly, in 1-2 minutes, say how you are contributing to create the link between policymakers, civil society organizations, and local and regional governments in DEAR? And you have already done so. Please select one challenge related to DEAR in your area of expertise, very briefly. As we have ended with Jean-Marc, maybe Miguel, do you wish to start?
Yeah, yes, with pleasure. I would say that, and I would insist, especially that bringing together institutional representatives, educators, formal and informal educators, civil society organizations representatives, and local authorities.
Sorry, Miguel. Sorry, I can't hear you very well. There is a background noise. I don't know if you can. Do you have your headphones plugged in?
Yes.
Okay, we hear a weird noise.
Still a background noise?
Maybe we can just pass to Professor Massimiliano while we try to solve your issue, and maybe switch off the camera to see if it helps.
Yeah. And now?
Okay. We continue to have the background noise. Maybe if you put off your headphones.
Can you hear me now?
No, we continue to hear the noise.
Sorry for this.
Don't worry. I'm going to pass the floor to Professor Massimiliano, and you can write me if you how you are going with the connection. Many thanks.
Well, yes, thank you. Very briefly, a multi-stakeholder approach or any collaborative among different actors action is absolutely crucial at every level for the angel activities and in the digest in particular as an example is crucial. The multi-stakeholder approach is not only plays a pivotal role in implementing global citizenship or global education policy at every level, which is widely known. But what is less known is that multi-stakeholder approach is also very, very important for practice. For example, in recent year, we carried out a research within a DEAR program, actually, on teacher education in 4 European countries. And we realized that an effective teacher education program on global education issues is effective only if it's more effective when is has been carried out in a collaborative way based on a multi-stakeholder approach. And this was crucial because this could create and reinforce what we call the teacher agency. So the ability of teachers of actively contributing to shape their own professional context, which is something very, very important and crucial for any real school change and policy implementation, because we realize that any top-down policy for promoting school change or introducing a new educational approach or content is tend to be useless if there is not a real involvement of the practitioners, or so if these ignore what we call the agency of teachers. So this is the multiple collaboration is absolutely crucial even for practice, not only for policy implementation, and research show this very, very clearly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maximiliano, for your brief intervention. We take good note. While we wait to see if Miguel has the connection, Jean-Marc, I invite you also to very briefly maybe select one challenge related to DEAR, or if you, as you already replied to the first question on how you are contributing to create the link between policy makers and civil society on DEAR.
Oui. Alors, comme je le disais tout à l'heure, il y a à peu près une centaine de gouvernements locaux qui sont impliqués dans le Festival des Solidarités. Et ça fait une énorme différence quand il y a une mairie, un comité d'agglomération qui soutient les actions du Festival des Solidarités en termes d'appui pour la communication, en termes d'appui matériel, en termes d'appui financier, mais aussi en termes d'appui politique, parce que ça donne une légitimité à l'action des organisations de la société civile. Malheureusement, ce n'est pas le cas partout. Et il y a encore très souvent des collectivités territoriales, des collectivités locales qui ne soutiennent pas les actions de sensibilisation et d'éducation à la citoyenneté mondiale. Et c'est d'autant plus important sur ces territoires-là que les organisations de la société civile soient fortes et soient soutenues pour pouvoir convaincre les autorités locales de l'importance de conduire ces actions, de l'importance d'impliquer les services sociaux, les services éducatifs, les services culturels. Et donc, il y a vraiment un rôle très important qui est joué par les collectifs pour accompagner les autorités locales quand elles ne sont pas suffisamment engagées sur ces questions. Par exemple, là, il y a eu les élections municipales il y a quelques mois en France. Et donc, des nouvelles équipes au niveau des mairies sont arrivées qui ne connaissaient pas du tout ces enjeux-là. Et donc, il était très important d'avoir des réseaux formés, compétents, avec voilà, la force pour pouvoir accompagner ces collectivités et trouver un terrain d'entente entre les objectifs politiques des gouvernements locaux et l'importance d'impliquer les citoyens. Donc, j'insiste vraiment sur la chance qu'on a en France, parce que l'Agence française de développement soutient à la fois des actions de sensibilisation et des actions de structuration du milieu associatif. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a des budgets très importants qui sont dégagés pour soutenir les réseaux, pour les renforcer. Et je pense que l'Union européenne gagnerait à développer aussi ce type de financement pour permettre des réseaux pérennes pour pouvoir à la fois renforcer les compétences des acteurs, notamment en termes de plaidoyer. Et bien sûr, des réseaux multi-acteurs, comme ça a été dit, hein, sont d'autant plus pertinents pour voilà, permettre d'associer toutes les parties prenantes.
Thank you, Jean-Marc, for your reply. Miguel, I think that maybe it's better if you try to disconnect and connect again to the Zoom.
I did already.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Good, you can hear?
Yes, perfect.
Excellent.
So,
okay.
Back to the question, many thanks.
Yeah, very, very rapidly. Yes, as I said, and I would like to insist on this, is one of the added value of this multi-stakeholder approach is the confidence building between the different level of actors who do not work necessarily together on a regular basis. And by bringing together the different stakeholders, either on elaborating a recommendation or participating in the Congress, which will produce also recommendations and policy papers, it creates this confidence, and it allows also a more direct approach in the definition of priorities, advocacy priorities, pedagogical priorities, and also to have a truly holistic, and representativeness of the recommendation or the policy paper that we produce. I think that the big challenge is to keep this momentum beyond the meeting or beyond the process, and for us this is what requires a greater effort, is to maintain, to keep this multi-stakeholder approach on a continuous phase along the year and between events. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Miguel. And thank you to the three panelists for your intervention. To promote DEAR, it seems then key to work on policymaking, awareness raising, but also capacity building using a multi-stakeholder approach. And local and regional governments may have the competencies, but sometimes they don't have the resources. And now we are going to discover more inspirational histories from our PLATFORMA partners, who I welcome. They are also very active in DEAR. Our first examples comes from the provincial government of Barcelona, who is also amongst the founders of the European Days of Local Solidarity in 2016. Welcome and thank you, Sara Garrido Minambres, Project Officer on Global Citizenship Education, for joining us today to share DBA's publication about the working group on DEAR Locals Plans, Building Knowledge, Exchanging Practices on 2030 Agenda. Sara, welcome. Hola. You have the floor, around 5 minutes.
Yeah, do you hear me? Yeah, thank you, Lur. Good morning, everybody. And thank you to PLATFORMA as well for organizing this webinar and for giving us the opportunity. As we have translation services, I will continue my presentation in Spanish, and I think there is also a presentation that you will share with all of us. Bien, la experiencia que quisiéramos compartir hoy con todos es la del espacio de trabajo e intercambio de los planes municipales de educación para la ciudadanía global. Es una iniciativa que explicaré un poco más adelante en detalle, pero antes hay dos elementos para un poco contextualizarla, que están en la siguiente diapositiva. Y que son parte un poco el impulso de esta iniciativa viene por parte de la Diputación de Barcelona, que para aquellos que no lo conozcan es un gobierno local de segundo nivel, por tanto es una administración supramunicipal que aúna, digamos, a los 311 ayuntamientos de la provincia de Barcelona, a los que presta apoyo técnico, económico y material, y que potencia como organización, como administración de segundo nivel, mucho el trabajo en red, el intercambio de buenas prácticas y de conocimientos entre gobiernos locales. Sí. Por otra parte, también como punto de contextualización, comentaros que los gobiernos locales de la provincia de Barcelona son en general, bueno, tienen una larga trayectoria de trabajo en educación para la ciudadanía global, conjuntamente con las organizaciones de la sociedad civil de sus municipios, y por tanto ya hay un caldo de cultivo y unas prácticas, y se producía una demanda que se nos trasladó a la Diputación de Barcelona de contar con más espacios de intercambio de conocimientos, de experiencias y de prácticas, ¿no? Y así es como nace este espacio de trabajo, que es una iniciativa de apoyo técnico que organiza la Diputación, pero que digamos que se nutre de las aportaciones de todos los gobiernos locales que forman parte. Si podéis pasar a la siguiente diapositiva. La iniciativa nace en el 2019, principios del año pasado, y tiene como objetivos ampliar conocimientos, ¿no? Pero siempre con un enfoque muy práctico y desde la experiencia, desde lo que se está haciendo en el ámbito local, pues buscar un espacio donde ponerlo en común, donde reflexionar sobre esa práctica y que de esa reflexión también salga reforzado un discurso específico de la educación para la ciudadanía global que se hace desde el ámbito local, ¿no? Un poco reivindicar el valor añadido de la educación para la ciudadanía global que se hace en el ámbito local. Y después también facilitar un espacio donde se pueda promover el trabajo en red y la identificación de oportunidades de colaboración, tanto entre gobiernos locales como entre gobiernos locales y organizaciones de la sociedad civil. Entonces, desde que arrancamos con este espacio de trabajo e intercambio a principios del 2019, se han sumado 20 gobiernos locales de la provincia de Barcelona que participan a día de hoy. Disponemos también de un aula virtual que es un espacio donde se pueden intercambiar pues, actividades, recursos y documentos que van generando tanto la Diputación como todos los participantes. Y se han hecho 4 sesiones de trabajo, que suelen ser sesiones monográficas alrededor de un tema que los propios gobiernos locales han escogido como de su interés o de su prioridad. La primera sesión la dedicamos a diagnosticar, a hacer un diagnóstico conjunto de retos y oportunidades de la educación para la ciudadanía global en el ámbito local. La segunda, que ahora os explicaré más en detalle, trabajamos el tema del vínculo entre la educación para la ciudadanía global y la Agenda 2030. Y después hemos trabajado también el tema de educación para la ciudadanía global dirigida a jóvenes en los espacios de educación no formal. Y la última reunión, que la tuvimos que hacer ya virtual, porque las otras habían sido presenciales, la hicimos virtual en el mes de mayo, si no me equivoco, junio, fue sobre planificación y evaluación de la educación para la ciudadanía global. Entonces, para explicaros un poco cómo trabajamos y cómo lo haremos a través del ejemplo de una de las sesiones, que fue sobre el vínculo entre educación para la ciudadanía global y Agenda 2030. Normalmente lo que hacemos es la Diputación, desde la Oficina de Cooperación al Desarrollo de la Diputación, hace un trabajo previo de investigación documental, ¿no? De qué otras prácticas ya existen sobre esta temática, qué se ha escrito, también desde el mundo de la academia. Y después se interpela a todos los gobiernos locales que participan sobre con qué experiencias locales cuentan ya en esta temática, ¿no? En este caso se les preguntó a los gobiernos locales en los procesos de localización de la Agenda 2030 que podían haber desarrollado en sus municipios y en paralelo en las políticas locales de educación para la ciudadanía global, qué experiencias tenían de trabajo conjunto entre estos dos ámbitos, ¿no? Si la educación tenían iniciativas de educación para la ciudadanía global que hubieran incorporado los objetivos 2030, y a la inversa, si tenían procesos de localización de la Agenda 2030 que se habían trabajado desde un enfoque de educación para la ciudadanía global. Los ayuntamientos miembros nos envían las experiencias que tienen y a partir de aquí se organiza una sesión de trabajo en la que hay un componente de formación. Invitamos a algún experto o alguna institución con experiencia a que nos haga una ponencia y nos ayude también a ampliar conocimientos del marco teórico de lo que estamos hablando. Después se hace una presentación de experiencias, de las experiencias que han reportado los ayuntamientos, y después hay un espacio de debate, y es lo que llamamos un poco construcción de discurso y de recomendaciones y de aquello que nos llevamos un poco todos de la sesión, ¿no? Con todo ese trabajo, tanto el previo como el de la sesión, después desde la oficina hacemos una tarea de sistematización de los contenidos e intentamos acabar con algún producto que sea comunicable, como en este caso es el documento de localización de la Agenda 2030 y Educación para la Ciudadanía Global, un diálogo imprescindible que tenemos disponible en catalán, en castellano y en inglés. Intentamos a partir de aquí comunicar los resultados con un objetivo también de visibilizar qué es lo que se está haciendo desde las áreas de educación para la ciudadanía global de los ayuntamientos, ¿no? Me detengo aquí un poco a explicaros con el ejemplo de Agenda 2030 y Educación para la Ciudadanía Global, las dos dimensiones en las que trabajamos principalmente, que es esa de construcción de discurso y visión compartida, y a la vez de dar orientaciones prácticas, de construir entre todos orientaciones prácticas para los ayuntamientos. En este caso, de los debates, de la investigación previa y sobre todo de la reflexión conjunta con los miembros, surgió sobre todo esta conclusión de que entre los procesos de localización de la Agenda 2030 y la educación para la ciudadanía global debería haber un diálogo franco que no supusiera, digamos, la superposición, o sea, que ninguno de los dos enfoques, digamos, se supedita al otro, porque veíamos beneficios. Por una parte, los ayuntamientos ponían de relieve la importancia de que los procesos de localización de la Agenda 2030 incorporen un enfoque de educación para la ciudadanía global para evitar ciertos riesgos que se identificaban en los procesos de localización. Por un lado, el riesgo de que se pierda una perspectiva global en los procesos de localización y que se adopte un enfoque únicamente local, ¿no? y se pierda esa dimensión global de los ODS. Por otra parte, de que se adopte un enfoque muy comunicativo o muy orientado a la comunicación y no tanto a la transformación, o un enfoque muy condescendiente, digamos, con lo que ya se hace y poco crítico sobre las estructuras que se necesitarían transformar, ¿no? Para poder conseguir los objetivos de la Agenda 2030. Entonces, los compañeros y compañeras de los ayuntamientos ponían de relieve la importancia y el aporte que se puede hacer desde las áreas y también desde las organizaciones, o sea, tanto en el ámbito público como privado, de las organizaciones de la sociedad civil, a los procesos de localización para asegurar este enfoque. Pero a la inversa también es cierto, y es que la Agenda 2030 supone una oportunidad para afrontar algunos de los retos que tiene planteada la educación para la ciudadanía global en el ámbito local, ¿no? Para poder realmente llegar a otros públicos a los que resulta difícil acceder, romper un poco las zonas de confort en la que se mueve la educación para la ciudadanía global muchas veces con públicos que ya están previamente sensibilizados y por tanto poder construir alianzas y tener mayores impactos, ¿no? Yendo de la mano de los procesos de localización de la Agenda 2030. Y por tanto había aquí un discurso y una visión compartida que fuimos construyendo y que está detallada un poco en el documento que se os ha compartido a través del chat. Y la otra cara de la moneda es la de aportar, digamos, orientaciones prácticas a los ayuntamientos que es la siguiente y última diapositiva, creo, que puedan implementar en su día a día, ¿no? En el trabajo y que surgen un poco de esa reflexión y la reflexión a su vez surge de la práctica. Y aquí identificamos 8 orientaciones prácticas bastante concretas, como pueden ser, solo cito algunos ejemplos, que las áreas de educación para la ciudadanía global participen de todos los procesos formativos que se impulsen a nivel local en la localización de la Agenda 2030, en la localización de los ODS, para incorporar este enfoque de ciudadanía global, que se promuevan alianzas con nuevos actores. Surgieron iniciativas muy interesantes, pues desde, por ponernos un ejemplo, llegar a alianzas con la compañía local de aguas para introducir temas de educación para la ciudadanía global a la vez que se trabajaba el ODS 6, ¿no? y el acceso y la buena gestión del agua, pues introducir también aquí contenidos de educación para la ciudadanía global. Por tanto, abrir, digamos, a pesar de lo que esto supone de salir, como os decía, de la zona de confort, abrirse alianzas con otros actores y esta idea de extender el conjunto de un enfoque de corresponsabilidades al conjunto de actores, ¿no? Y por tanto incidir también en las áreas de comunicación de los gobiernos locales, aportando esta visión de educación para la ciudadanía global. Es un poco no me puedo detener por el tiempo que tenemos en el detalle, pero el documento recoge las conclusiones de ese trabajo previo y de ese debate que tuvimos con este doble enfoque de construir discurso, que creemos que también que es importante porque a veces la educación para la ciudadanía global que se hace desde el ámbito local está muy orientada a la práctica y está bien, es necesario, pero eso hace que a veces no visibilice suficientemente el valor añadido igual que se está aportando porque no hay tiempo ni recursos para construir un discurso propio, ¿no? o específico. En nuestro caso, como Diputación de Barcelona y Cogobierno supramunicipal, entendemos que podemos contribuir o aportar también desde nuestro, ¿no? aportar con recursos técnicos y económicos a la construcción un poco y a la reivindicación de ese discurso. Aquí os ponemos el listado de gobiernos locales que participan en el espacio de trabajo, muchos de los cuales además nos acompañan hoy, y no sé si luego un poco más en la parte final habría la opción, ¿no? Ahí me parece que hay un espacio de participación donde pueden complementar o añadir lo que quieran a mi presentación, y aquí debajo dejo también el contacto por si queréis ampliar información, porque la presentación de hoy es muy breve y no me da para más. Muchas gracias, en todo caso. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Sara. Sorry, I was mute. Indeed, the 2030 Agenda adopts the Global Citizenship Education Approach, their approach, and refers to the crucial role of education in which local and regional governments are very active, as your publication has highlighted. Thank you very much. Now it's the turn to Helen Voten, who is a staff member of International Department and Sdgs focal point at the Flemish Association for Cities and Municipalities. Welcome, Helen. You have around 5 minutes, to present your inspirational examples. Many thanks.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Loer and Platforma for the invitation. I hope everybody's still feeling energetic and motivated behind their screens. That's not the first slide, I think, Loer. Is it possible? No, it's okay.
Yes, please, you can start.
I can start like this. So I'm Helene and I work for the Team International at VVSG, and the umbrella organization of all 300 cities and municipalities in Flanders. That's the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. And our department specifically supports and inspires the local governments on themes like international cooperation, international agendas like the SDGs, and what we call local global policy. And when defining local global policy, we like to underline 3 fields in which local authorities can take action that are shown on the slide normally. But well, I'll just tell you, first there are global policy choices, the local actions that strengthen international justice. There's also global cooperation, contribute to international justice as partners, and of course, global citizenship, which Marlene defined very well at the beginning of this webinar, so I don't have to get into it. And it's in the spirit of this third field that a great number of Flemish cities and municipalities invest time and resources in raising awareness amongst their citizens. Yes, it's okay like this. On the importance of international cooperation and international solidarity, and that I want to share with you today some very hands-on and inspiring practices. First of all, a well-known and widespread way of doing this in Flanders is by visualizing international cooperation and, for example, twinning programs in public art exposures, film documentaries, city festivals. And I'm not going into this point today, but you can see some examples on this slide. You can go to the next slide. A common initiative in Flemish municipalities that I do want to get in today is to support their local schools in working on international solidarity. And they do this in different ways, like subsidize school projects on international solidarity, lend educational materials to schools, offer free thematic trajectories. Let me show you some examples. The next slide, please. With her Rainbow Warrior Covenant, the Flemish city of Harelbeke, for example, offers her schools a funding for class projects that contribute to the SDGs. And this way, the city also connects schools by exchanging SDG actions at school and class level. And together with the provincial government, the city also provides SDG training for the involved teachers. The next slide, please. Another good practice maybe is this. Since September 2018, this educative van called Bonjour Benin makes a stop in every kindergarten, primary school and high school in the municipality of Merelbeke. Merelbeke rebuilt a sort of sea container into a cozy African living room where you can find educative materials about international cooperation for every age, and often with a link to Merelbeke's twinning program with the city of Tukuntuna in Benin. The next slide, please. Yes, I also wanted to mention the city of Sint-Truiden, where they try to make international solidarity a theme for every target audience in the municipality by bundling all activities and materials in this domain on one website. And you find, for example, class projects for schools, fair trade cooking workshops for neighborhood clubs, an SDG GPS game for local youth movements. And they are all collected on one public website, so everybody finds what they're looking for. And in the meantime, maybe you get inspired to spread other activities to your school, your club, your colleagues, etc. The next slide. Yes, a last and more recent practice we've seen in a number of Flemish cities and that I would like to share with you today is the act of linking municipal twinning programs to the frame of the SDGs. We collected at VVSG 40 good practices in a recent publication, which you can see on this slide. It's available on our website in, I think, Dutch, English, Spanish, and French. And I'm quickly picking out some examples of this publication. Yes, the next slide. The municipality of Bierbeek organized, for example, a water hike to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of their partnership with San Felipe de Oña in Ecuador. Both municipalities have been working on themes like drinking water facilities, sanitation, and irrigation over the past 2 decades. And Bierbeek was inspired by its partner city Oña, which has a similar hike in Ecuador. The next slide. Partner municipalities can also create short films that show how local governments contribute to the SDGs. Like here, the city of Harelbeke and her Namibian partner city Enana made a video that shows some good practices from both municipalities for each SDG. And the last slide, I think. Yes, on this very last slide, you see how digital storytelling and SDG workshop was organized in Tambacounda, the Senegalese partner city of the city of Sydney class. Participants first determine what they are passionate about or what they are working on in their daily work or life, and they establish a connection with one or more SDGs. They record their text, look up images and photos, and finally everything is edited into a clip. And the finished clips from Tambacounda cover issues like poverty, climate change, illegal migration, health, child marriages. They are all honest testimonials about the challenges and worries of young people in Senegal. And the clips are then discussed in a school context, as well in Senegal as in Sydney class in Flanders. And I think with this brief overview, I used my time to speak, and I hope these practices can be a source of inspiration to other local governments, their associations in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. You raised another recommendation, which is included in our collection of best practices, which is the need to work on DEAR in partnership with schools to facilitate long-lasting behavioral change and advancing the inclusion of the 2030 agenda in the school curricula. You also mentioned twinning activities between cities. Our recommendation is the following. It is essential to create spaces for exchange and mutual learning between local and regional governments and program actions with community participation. Thank you very much. Now I will give the floor to our third inspirational partner, Marlene Izaguirre Marañón, Project Officer on International Cooperation at the Basque Agency for Development Cooperation, who is going to present the ABIAN 2030 Basque Education Strategy for Social Transformation. Hola, buenos días, Marlene. You have the floor.
Buenos días, y como han dicho las anteriores presentadoras, pues agradeceros también la invitación, ¿no?, para participar en esto. Quería compartir eso, la experiencia de una estrategia de educación para la transformación social que comenzó siendo la estrategia o planteándose la estrategia para la Agencia Vasca de Cooperación, que estaría a nivel del gobierno regional más o menos, una comunidad autónoma, y que luego ha sido construida con muchos más agentes, ¿no? Un momento para explicaros, ABIAN el nombre. ABIAN con H en euskera, en nuestra lengua, quiere decir nido. Y teníamos claro que partíamos de un recorrido y una trayectoria en educación para el desarrollo, y de ahí era nuestra zona o nuestro espacio de confort, como habéis dicho algunos, ¿verdad? Y ABIAN sin H quiere decir en marcha, ¿no? Y sí sentíamos que era momento de, bueno, pues de salir más allá, de establecer más vinculaciones con otros agentes, con otras realidades y con otras temáticas y demás, ¿no? Y desde ahí planteamos un poco un proceso de diagnóstico y de definición de algunas líneas de acción. Entonces yo os quería compartir cuatro ideas en este momentito, ¿no? Como ideas que ya han salido, yo creo, ¿no? Como desde el inicio quiso ser un proceso participativo e implicar a diferentes actores, ¿no? Eso lo que nos ha generado es que finalmente se dé una alianza entre público-social o así, entre diferentes agentes, ¿no? Y por otro lado, sí que señalábamos también que, bueno, pues se recogen algunas ideas marco y algunas líneas de actuación que recogen nuestra filosofía también de cómo entendemos la educación para la transformación social, intentando inventarnos un nombre nuevo, ¿verdad? Como siempre lo hacemos para tomar conciencia de ese cambio, ¿no? Y esto posibilitaba realizar algunas acciones conjuntas, pero también continuar con las prácticas que cada una de las instituciones que se suman a ABIAN tienen. Como se refleja en esa ponencia, pues fue un proceso participativo en el que intentamos integrar a diferentes actores y a diferentes colectivos y demás, con diferentes formas de participación también, adecuándonos a ellas, ¿no? Hubo un trabajo interno de la propia agencia, hubo también contraste con agentes, con personas más expertas, tanto que viven en nuestro entorno más cercano como aquellas que viven a nivel estatal o a nivel de Latinoamérica. Y también hubo un momento muy importante de integrar a otros agentes y actores pues que ya estaban en los proyectos que nosotros veníamos financiando, pero que a ratos no se sentían parte. Y ahí sí me gustaría destacar que intentamos sumar a mucha gente en ese proceso de diagnóstico y de definición, pero, por ejemplo, gente vinculada a los medios de comunicación, tanto masivos como alternativos, pues no se sentían llamados a participar en un proceso como este, y también nos costó un poco, pero aunque participaron posteriormente, gente que estaba vinculada a redes de educación no formal, ¿no? Aunque de hecho estaban participando ya en cosas, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, la primera es desde el principio explicarles por qué es interesante su presencia y su apuesta, ¿no? yo creo que gracias a ese proceso más tan participativo también conseguimos que se diera una alianza público-social, como decíamos, en la que hay gente de instituciones, desde el nivel del gobierno a niveles más locales, como ha comentado Sara, y municipios, gente de ONGs que tradicionalmente habían trabajado con nosotras, pero también gente del movimiento artístico vinculadas al medio ambiente y redes de escuelas y así, ¿no? Entonces esto nos permite tener como un colectivo amplio de gente con la que contrastar y seguir avanzando, ¿no? En cuanto a otro tema, bueno, pues que nosotros conseguimos avanzar en ese diagnóstico y sumando a tantos agentes, llegamos a identificar fundamentalmente 6 ideas fundamentales y algunos cambios que queríamos conseguir, ¿no? Y que esos eran lo que nos iban a orientar, ¿no? Es más un marco de actuación que, bueno, pues una comprensión, ¿no? De las ideas, rescatar que fundamentalmente nos parecía relevante o nos parecía que nos la jugábamos en el cómo hacemos las cosas, ¿no? Y desde ahí también se hacía énfasis en los enfoques más político-pedagógicos, en cómo rescatar esa vinculación que también se ha ido mencionando a lo largo de las presentaciones, ¿no? De lo local y lo global. Nosotros veníamos de la educación para el desarrollo y no queremos perder esa mirada que nos vincula a lo local y lo global, pero es verdad que ya no es una temática específica, sino que pueden ser temáticas muy amplias, ¿no? En las que nosotras tenemos esa mirada al respeto a los derechos humanos y al contraste y al continuo aprendizaje, ¿no? Esos serían como unos comos muy fundamentales. Y ahí queremos acompañar a gente de todo tipo y también queremos que las propias instituciones vayan transformándose en la medida que están transformando en las demás, ¿no? De todas estas ideas conseguimos aterrizar como 16 cambios, ¿no? Un cambio más en lo que era la concepción de cómo entendíamos la educación para la transformación social, bueno, un cambio no, una agrupación de cambios en esa línea, otros cambios que hacían referencia más a las prácticas que hacemos, otros cambios que hacían relación a las propias personas y colectivos con los que venimos trabajando en la educación para la transformación social, otros cambios que hacen referencia más a lo que son los cambios en las propias instituciones, ¿no? Y con todo eso, en lo que estamos avanzando, porque esta estrategia se aprobó en el 2017 y vamos haciendo algunas cosas, pues hemos aterrizado algunas actividades conjuntas que recogen también algunas de las ideas que hemos ido diciendo, ¿no? Todo el tema de sensibilización y cómo crear sensibilización y tener mayor impacto, entendemos que sumados muchos agentes en un mismo territorio podemos tener más capacidad. Para nosotras veníamos trabajando ya el tema de la comunicación, pero la epidemia ha sido como pues, algo que nos ha ayudado a transmitir también ese mensaje de, bueno, lo que les pasa a unas personas nos pasa a todas, todo tiene influencia, cada vez somos más interdependientes y tenemos que cooperar entre todos, y cooperar es la salida a este contexto de pandemia, ¿no? Y en esa línea hemos hecho una campaña conjunta que la hemos repetido en 2 momentos del año, y por otro lado estamos haciendo un esfuerzo de intentar medir que los cambios que queríamos conseguir, cómo los vamos consiguiendo, ¿no? Y el esfuerzo que también se ha planteado antes, ¿no? De cómo demostrar los cambios y de medirlos, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, pues en esas líneas vamos compartiendo en común, y luego decíamos, luego cada agente que está también sumado a BIAN hace cosas específicas, ¿no? Pues la agencia tiene su plan operativo y ha ido haciendo cosas y ha ido transformando también pues las variaciones para los proyectos y así, que respondan a estos cambios que queremos conseguir, ¿no? De tal manera que podamos tener un mayor impacto. Y otros espacios como por ejemplo la Diputación de Álava, algo similar a una entidad similar a la que nos contaba Sara, ¿no? Pues ellos están trabajando a nivel local y con municipios y territorios cómo abordar de manera integrada algunas temáticas que vinculan lo local y lo global, como es los cuidados transnacionales.
Marlene, sorry, if you could just conclude.
Yeah, sí, ya estaría. Bueno, con eso sería como 2 ejemplos así breves.
Okay. Muchas gracias, es que ricasco. Thank you, Marlene. You raised one key point, raising awareness on global challenges, on global agendas and decentralized cooperation is a process in itself and not only a goal. And this is why updated strategies like the one you presented are very important. We are going to pass to the last inspirational example. We are behind the schedule, but I remind that you can already post your questions for the participants in the chat if you wish to take the floor after the last inspirational example from our partner. So last but not least, we are moving to Latvia now. Welcome to Agita Kopusa, who is advisor to the chairman on EU issues, head of Brussels office of Latvian Association of Local and Regional Governments. Agita, we would love to hear your feedback on the European Days of Local Solidarity campaign that has already started, and why it's important in the work we are doing in decentralized cooperation and DEAR. Agita, welcome.
Thank you a lot, Laura. I hope that everybody hears me very well. Thank you for sharing with my presentation as well. You can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we are glad for the opportunity to share with our experience on our activities we have been implementing during the European Days of Local Solidarity, because we have been in these days in the very first edition in 2016. We are continuing to do it and hope that these activities will continue to take place next year as well, because these are the activities most appreciated by our municipalities regarding the development cooperation, development education. So you can see a lot of pictures, a lot of memories from the past editions, and we are compiling of our experience as well, inspiring from the others. What we are always taking into account when planning EDLS activities, this is the principle of innovation ecosystem. We are trying to involve both municipalities, schools, school children, youth, civil society organizations, and everything we are doing in cooperation with the Eastern Partnership countries, municipalities. Why? To raise awareness of inhabitants, but as well, which is very important, to raise awareness of municipal administration and politicians, so that they are supporting these activities and they can be implemented now and in the future as well. Next slide, please. So I was asked to tell more about last year's edition. It was implemented in 5 municipalities in Latvia, together with our counterparts in Georgia and Ukraine. Why 5? We have organized a contest, and only the most motivated one won and had the possibility to implement their activities. Why it was so important for our municipalities to do this? Because it was a real possibility, as well co-financing, to have a real exchange of best experience with partners coming in Latvia. During these activities, they could define future cooperation areas, and these were from investments to tourism, cooperation between schools and involvement of youth. And as well as always, they were having study visits and exchanging best practice in provision of municipal services, citizen involvement, decision-making, and so on. But the topics were chosen on the basis of the Eastern Partnership policy objectives. What I wanted to stress was that each year we are continuing one activity. The municipalities can change, but one activity stays, and this is the children's drawing contest. As to edition this year is a little bit special, so 5 municipalities again. Some have stayed the same, some new winners have joined. But this year's challenge was that everything had to be planned online. Next slide, please. So we are having 5 municipalities and 3 Eastern Partnership countries, and different kinds of inspirational ideas online. For example, Kultīga, they are making a video contest for youth on development cooperation topic, and this goes into the structure of development education as well, because we are involving School of Arts, the local School of Arts, and local secondary schools as well. Likewise, they are organizing online workshops on video storytelling, and the audience will be their counterparts in Moldova. Valka municipality, together with their cooperation partner in Georgia, is learning Georgian and Latvian folk song Children in both countries are learning. Children are from music schools. But in the end, the result will be that they are filming, each of children is filming himself or herself. And then the video is composed of all these children from 2 countries. And there is one video with 2 folk songs. Then Prague municipality together with Ukraine and Georgia are continuing to organize children's drawing contest, which is international. It takes place in every country. And then the winners are chosen. Likewise, they are organizing online webinar on SDGs, which is a relatively new topic for the Eastern Partnership countries. And they are also shooting video on SDGs for the target audience of Eastern Partnership countries' municipalities. Then Skrunda municipality, together with their Ukrainian counterparts, are shooting together video on opportunities for youth. And Kuldiga and Upper municipality, together with Georgia, are planning online workshops on storytelling, video storytelling about tourism routes. So this is the very brief run into our activities this year. Lastly, I wanted to say that we have inspired a lot from the other Platforma partners, from the Flemish, from Dutch, from Spanish, from Italians. We hope to continue this nice experience, and we hope as well that some of our ideas might inspire you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Agita. Very happy to hear the last thing that you say, even if all your intervention was very interesting. The European Days of Local Solidarity can help them to inspire other partners who are based in other countries in Europe. And now, thank you to all the speakers. It's now up to you, participants, to raise your questions or provide some short comment on what you just heard. We are also trying to follow the chat at the same time. So I will be very grateful if you keep your intervention short and concise, as we are really behind schedule. Just raise your hand on the chat if you want to intervene. And I saw that Ronald, one of our partners, put a message on the chat. So maybe, Ronald, I can invite you to take the floor very briefly, if you are here.
Yes, Loor, thank you very much. Yeah, I only did a proposal in the chat. We have a lot of common as local authorities in relation, especially with the education sector. We heard this morning from the director of DEAR that she's looking for coordination, more impact, especially about the development global goals. So in the chat, my proposal is, let's inside Platforma join as countries with, for example, each country 3 local authorities who can implement the global goals into the education curriculum. Just a proposal. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ronald. This comment meets one of the recommendations of taking into account the role of local and regional governments to include and institutionalize the 2030 agenda. So very well noted. I don't see we have hand raises among the participants. So otherwise, if no one has a comment, we can maybe show a video from our French partner. Just a moment. We are dealing with the sharing of the video. I think that you don't hear the...
dei progetti di cooperazione internazionale. Lo ha fatto in modo convinto e oggi possiamo dire che questi progetti sono stati progetti positivi che hanno portato risultati. Nello specifico ne abbiamo seguito uno con la Tunisia per aiutare la nascita di start-up sul mondo del biologico e dell'agricoltura. Ne abbiamo fatto altre anche con altri paesi, sempre rivolti ad una solidarietà internazionale. La cooperazione internazionale è importante, è uno strumento molto utile per mantenere coesione e aiutare lo sviluppo, e soprattutto aiuta anche a sensibilizzare le coscienze che se c'è una solidarietà internazionale significa una maggior civile convivenza, meno tensioni e uno sviluppo più armonioso. Ancor di più lo è importante se attori protagonisti sono i territori, le amministrazioni comunali, e il nostro caso lo ha dimostrato.
Sorry, I think that we had a little intervention with the video. This is just to inform you that this video is from our Italian partner, from the Italian Association of the Council of European Municipalities and Regions, as part of the European Days of Local Solidarity. I see that Jean-Marc, you were raising your hand, maybe? No?
Oui, alors,
yes.
Comme ça a été dit, hein, c'est essentiel d'avoir des réseaux comme PLATFORMA pour avoir des gouvernements locaux qui puissent échanger sur leurs pratiques, sur leurs enjeux, et qui puissent parler d'une même voix aussi vis-à-vis de divers interlocuteurs. Mais c'est vrai qu'il y a aussi des réseaux de la société civile, par exemple Concord ou For Us. Il y a aussi le réseau Bridge 47 que vous connaissez peut-être. Il y a le réseau Gini qui rassemble les ministères et les agences. Et puis il y a le réseau Global Education du Centre Nord-Sud du Conseil de l'Europe. Et mon regret, c'est que ces différents réseaux nourrissent leurs membres, mais ne dialoguent pas suffisamment les uns avec les autres, ou en tout cas ne proposent pas suffisamment de temps avec tout le monde. Et je pense que ce serait très intéressant aussi pour les organisations de la société civile de mieux comprendre les enjeux et les contraintes des gouvernements locaux ou des agences ou des ministères. Et donc j'aimerais vraiment qu'on puisse avoir des espaces d'échange entre différents acteurs, mais au niveau international. Voilà, en France, ça a réussi à se mettre en place depuis à peu près 2 ans, un groupe de concertation pour les acteurs d'éducation à citoyenneté mondiale. Et c'est vraiment extrêmement important d'avoir ces espaces pour se parler entre acteurs différents. Et donc là, il y a d'ailleurs un argumentaire commun en faveur de l'éducation à la citoyenneté mondiale qui va bientôt être finalisé. Je pense que ça pourra vous être partagé. Donc voilà, j'aimerais qu'on puisse avoir un réseau européen qui rassemble PLATFORMA, Gini, Centre Nord-Sud. Je pense que ce serait intéressant.
Merci beaucoup, Jean-Marc. Thank you very much. Indeed, you say that it's very important to cooperate on DEAR, and we are already working with Concord for Trade on some of the topics related to DEAR. Also, Ginny, this is one of the goals of today's webinar, to get to know your views and your experience on DEAR, and also find new ways to continue to collaborate and not just end with the webinar and nothing else after. So I hope that this webinar will also be the opportunity to join forces and find more synergies. So as we are really behind schedule, I propose to participants to send us their feedback and questions by mail if they wish. But I think that now it's time to go to the conclusion. So I would like to thank everyone, all the speakers, all our amazing panelists and interpreters who have been with us. Many thanks also to the colleagues who are helping and supporting in the chat, the presentations, and the very last minute things. I would like to conclude with some takeaways. So first takeaway, in recent years, state financial or policy support for DEAR has declined or has stagnated due to crisis. As a result, DEAR initiatives rely more and more on EU financial support than before, even if local and regional governments can have also resources at the local level. So awareness raising initiatives can provide the framework needed to understand our shared responsibility towards the global challenges, such as COVID-19, amplify this call for solidarity, and enhance the transformative learning process for citizens who live and interact in an increasingly globalized world. In this sense, it's essential that development, education, and awareness raising remain at the core of the 2021-2027 DICI thematic programming. Second takeaway is that by making the link between the local priorities and the global challenges to sustainable development, cities and regions contribute to citizens' critical understanding and active engagement. So therefore, it's essential that local and regional elected representatives fully uptake their role in raising citizens' awareness about decentralized cooperation. And how they can do that? They can do that by communicating about their projects, partner cities, topics that they are addressing, their motivation to cooperate. And they can do that by joining, for example, the European Days of Local Solidarity, which we invite you to join, and also other campaigns that, like the Solid Action campaign that is being carried out by the North-South Center of the Council of Europe. Finally, it seems extremely difficult to establish a comprehensive and representative typology of actions that local and regional governments conduct in the field of DEAR. We are many doing a lot of things, but we are here to facilitate and coordinate the work that all of us are doing on DEAR at the local, European, regional, and international level. So I would like to send you also to save the dates for today. Of course, to invite you to join the European Days of Local Solidarity campaign, you can visit the website. The agenda is already online, where you will be able to find all the events. We continue to receive registration of activities, even if these events are going to be held online in most of the cases. And the campaign will end the 29th of November. And we invite you to sign the EDLS Charter also to give visibility to your development cooperation support. And also PLATFORMA is going to have a conference the 19th of November. So registration are closed, but you can follow the updates of the next event of PLATFORMA online or in our Twitter account and in our news. And of course, we invite you to stay tuned with what we are doing on DEAR and to continue to give visibility of what you're doing and to get in touch with us so that we can further work on DEAR using a multi-stakeholder and network approach. So also, we will inform you when we will launch the publication of best practices on DEAR. We hope that this will be a very interesting document for all of you, with a lot of recommendations and a lot of next steps to follow, also for us, but maybe also useful for you. And that's it. Many thanks to all the participants, many thanks to the speakers, to the interpreters, and we invite you to join the campaign, the European Days of Local Solidarity. Many thanks. Muchas gracias.